Well, this is the day we knew was coming. That is a hote at the top of the old nesting tree, and that is probably Katori, who just flew off. I'm doing some work around my cabin and heard a bunch of eagle cries, and here she comes back to the nest. Whoa! Whoa! Did you see that? Maybe that is not a hote. She knocked that eagle right out of the tree. Did you see that? I'm sitting here ready to take a video of what I thought to be a fledge day for a hote. It's an immature eagle, and it was either Katori or Dakota that literally knocked that eagle right out of the tree. I am back at the nesting tree, and I am completely at a loss for the events I just witnessed about 20 minutes ago. It is Sunday, June the 10th of 2018, and everything is silent right now at the nest. When I first came to check the nest, Katori was there and I could hear the eaglet. Now Katori flew off and I'm hearing no eaglet or seeing a hote. And now I'm bouncing back to the possibility, as bizarre, interesting, fascinating it might be, it's possible that that was a hote in the old nesting tree on the shoreline there, because when I first turned on my video, and I'm yet to see the quality, I noticed that my camera somehow got on the wrong setting, so I hope it's clear enough to enjoy. It happens sometimes in the excitement of the moment. Somehow the settings got turned around. But if in fact that was a hote and that was Katori, it's something I've never seen before, and not only haven't I not seen anything like that before, it would demonstrate that there may be times when the adult eagle may force the eaglet to fly by what you just saw, or what you will potentially see in the video. She deliberately flew right at that eaglet and knocked it out of the tree, forcing it to fly. Now the interesting thing about that is she risks injury herself. I mean, you break a wing, you're done. If you're fortunate enough to be found, you're going to be in a place where you're cared for, but you'll never fly in the wild again. And even if she, as the adult, experienced in her flying abilities, is not injured, certainly the inexperienced eaglet risks injury. Obviously it flew to that tree, but even if they fly for their first time or second time, they're still very unstable in their flying, and they're trying to land in trees. So by deliberately forcing that eaglet out of that tree, she risks that eagle being injured. And I know they don't reason as a human, obviously do, but this is nature doing what nature does, and I'm not really sure why she would want to, move her out of that tree anyway, unless it was some type of training exercise to get her to fly more, which is incredibly fascinating. That's saying they're literally pushing them around to get them to fly. And you know, there's been folklore that I've talked about in videos years ago about eagles pushing them out of the nest, and you know, one of the eagles swoops underneath them to catch them in case they can't fly. And of course that's just a good story, but is it now possible that part of that story, the pushing out of the nest, is possible? I'm still dumbfounded by it, because if that's true, I've never seen another video like it. I've never seen an eagle push their young out of a tree, out of the nest, off a branch. But what you just saw in that video, that's in fact what just happened. And my first thoughts were, that eaglet doesn't belong here. That's not a hote. And I really have no firm way to tell, because when I came back to the nest, both Katori and the eaglet were back at the nesting tree. Now, did she push it away so it'd go back to the nest? And if she did, why? Maybe you can just hear the excitement in my voice, the perplexed thoughts, because I've never seen it. And now all is quiet. So what would have been just an exciting moment in and of itself, that a hote fledged, and I knew, and I've been saying it's going to happen very soon. She's at that 10-12 week time period where they'll take their first flight, and things can get pretty exciting. They'll land in other trees, and for my purposes, sometimes better opportunities to video them, photograph them. So I guess I just have to wait and see, and maybe I'll never truly know, but I'm really leaning now towards that was in fact a hote, and Katori, for whatever reason, forced her out of that tree to fly. And one of the factors that I would base that on was when I first turned the video on, Katori was perched just a few feet away in the same tree, appearing like nothing was wrong, but the eaglet was making a lot of whining noises, and they'll do that when they first fledge because, well, if I could read into it a little bit, I don't think it's a stretch to say they're scared. They're like, whoa, I just flew and now I got to fly again to get back home. And every experience I've had with a fledging eaglet, they do a lot of crying out, and I have seen places where the adults will bring a fish, not to them. If they're in another tree, they make them come back to the nest, and they'll complain about it. They're like, oh no, I got to fly again. So there is a training exercise that there is a pattern that they follow to get those eaglets to fly more, to get the experience of flight. But I've just never seen them aggressively and deliberately force them out of a tree to get them to fly. That's something I've never even witnessed in other eagle videos, and I'm curious to know other experts in the field of eagles if that's something they've witnessed, because I certainly haven't. It's exciting nonetheless. I just hope everybody's okay. I did go over to the old nesting tree where the event took place. I looked all around the bottom to make sure. I couldn't tell. It looked like the eaglet dipped down and maybe flew off. But I couldn't tell for sure, and I wanted to make sure there wasn't an injured eaglet at the bottom of the tree. And of course, when I got back to the existing nesting tree, the eaglet was, I didn't see a hote, but I could hear her. So stay tuned.